Welcome to New Zealand. A land where ancient legends whisper through mist-covered valleys, where emerald mountains plunge into sapphire waters, and where the raw power of nature creates landscapes so breathtaking they seem to belong to another world entirely. This is a country that defies easy description, a place where massive glaciers carve their way through temperate rainforests, where geothermal wonderlands bubble and steam beneath your feet, and where the night sky blazes with stars so brilliant they illuminate the darkness like celestial diamonds scattered across black velvet. New Zealand is not just a destination. It is an experience that awakens something primal within the soul, a reminder of the Earth's incredible capacity for beauty and wonder. Split across two main islands and countless smaller ones, this nation at the bottom of the world offers everything from pristine beaches where dolphins play in crystal-clear waters to alpine peaks that challenge even the most experienced mountaineers. The Maori people, who arrived here over 700 years ago, called it Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud. And once you witness the way clouds dance and swirl across these dramatic landscapes, you'll understand exactly why that name captures the essence of this remarkable place. If you're ready to explore dramatic fjords that inspired ancient Polynesian navigators, volcanic plateaus that still simmer with the Earth's inner fire, glacial valleys carved over millennia, pristine lakes that mirror snow-capped peaks, and coastal wonders that stretch your imagination to its absolute limits, click that subscribe button right now. It's completely free but means the world to us, and you'll join our community of travelers discovering the planet's most amazing places. Today we're embarking on a journey through New Zealand's most spectacular destinations, from the subtropical north to the rugged subantarctic south. And I promise you, by the end of this journey, you'll understand why New Zealand consistently ranks among the most beautiful countries on Earth. Fiordland National Park stands as New Zealand's largest national park and one of the most spectacular wilderness areas anywhere on our planet. Covering over 3 million acres of the southwestern corner of the South Island, this World Heritage Site is a realm of primordial beauty where massive fjords slice through mountains like nature's own cathedral halls, where waterfalls cascade thousands of feet down sheer granite cliffs, and where temperate rainforests cling impossibly to steep valley walls. The crown jewel of Fiordland is undoubtedly Milford Sound, though calling it a sound is actually a geographical misnomer, as it's technically a fjord carved by glaciers during the last ice age. Rudyard Kipling famously called Milford Sound the eighth wonder of the world, and standing on the deck of a boat as you cruise through its waters, surrounded by peaks that soar nearly a mile straight up from the sea, you'll find it impossible to disagree. Mitre Peak, rising over 4,000 feet directly from the fjord's waters, creates one of the most photographed scenes in the entire southern hemisphere, its perfect pyramid shape reflected in the dark, still waters below. When it rains in Milford Sound, and it rains here an average of 200 days per year, making it one of the wettest inhabited places on Earth, the entire landscape transforms into a living waterfall as thousands of temporary cascades appear on every cliff face, creating a spectacle that must be seen to be believed. But Fiordland offers so much more than just Milford Sound. Doubtful Sound, 3 times longer and 10 times larger, provides an even more remote wilderness experience where the silence is so profound you can literally hear your heartbeat. The famous Milford Track, often called the finest walk in the world, takes hikers on a 4-day journey through landscapes that range from river valleys filled with ancient beech forests to alpine passes where glaciers still cling to the mountainsides. Throughout Fiordland, the wildlife is remarkable, with New Zealand fur seals basking on rocks, bottlenose dolphins playing in the fjord waters, and the rare Fiordland crested penguin nesting in the coastal forests. The underwater world here is equally extraordinary, with a unique layer of fresh water sitting atop the salt water, creating light conditions that allow deepwater species like black coral to grow in shallow depths, making Fiordland one of the world's most unusual diving destinations. Tongariro National Park in the heart of the North Island represents something entirely different but equally spectacular, a volcanic landscape so otherworldly that it was chosen as the filming location for Mordor in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This is New Zealand's oldest national park, established in 1887 when Maori chiefs gifted the sacred peaks to the nation, and it became only the fourth national park in the world and the first created from an indigenous gift. The park is dominated by three massive volcanic peaks, Mount Tongariro, Mount Ngauruhoe, and Mount Ruapehu, each still active and each possessing its own distinct character and personality. The Tongariro Alpine Crossing, consistently voted one of the best single-day hikes on the planet, takes you through a landscape that feels like walking across the surface of Mars, with red crater basins, emerald lakes that glow with an almost unnatural brilliance thanks to dissolved minerals from the volcanic rock, steam vents that hiss and whisper, and vast fields of volcanic debris stretching to the horizon. The crossing covers 12 miles and climbs over 3,000 feet, but every challenging step is rewarded with views that seem impossible, surreal, dreamlike. Mount Ngauruhoe, the youngest of the three major peaks at just 2,500 years old, is a nearly perfect volcanic cone that rises over 7,500 feet and served as Mount Doom in Peter Jackson's films. Adventurous hikers can make the side trip to its summit, though the climb up the steep scoria slopes is brutally difficult, with every 2 steps forward often resulting in 1 step sliding backward. Mount Ruapehu, the tallest peak in the North Island at over 9,000 feet, is an active volcano that hosts 2 ski fields on its slopes, creating the unique experience of skiing on an active volcano with a crater lake that periodically heats up and erupts. The most recent major eruption was in 1995 and 1996, sending lahars, volcanic mudflows, racing down the mountainside and serving as a dramatic reminder that these mountains are very much alive. Throughout the park, the evidence of Maori spiritual connection is everywhere, from the sacred hot springs where warriors once bathed before battle to the traditional stories that explain every peak, valley, and lake. The contrast between the harsh volcanic landscape and the unexpected pockets of life, alpine meadows bursting with wildflowers in summer, hardy beech forests clinging to protected valleys, creates an environment that feels like nowhere else on Earth. Aoraki Mount Cook National Park protects the highest peaks in New Zealand and contains some of the most impressive alpine scenery in the entire southern hemisphere. Aoraki, known to European settlers as Mount Cook, soars to 12,316 feet, and while that might not seem exceptionally tall compared to the Himalayas or the Andes, what makes these mountains so impressive is how they rise almost directly from sea level, creating enormous vertical relief and dramatic visual impact. The mountain was named after the famous British explorer Captain James Cook, but its Maori name Aoraki means cloud piercer, which perfectly describes how the summit often penetrates the cloud layer to stand alone in clear air while everything below is shrouded in mist. The park contains over 20 peaks higher than 10,000 feet and holds more than 40% of New Zealand's permanent ice and snow, with massive glaciers including the Tasman Glacier, which at 17 miles long is the longest glacier in the southern hemisphere outside of Antarctica. The Tasman Glacier has been melting rapidly in recent decades, and this melting has created Tasman Lake, a surreal body of water filled with icebergs that have calved from the glacier's terminal face, where you can kayak among house-sized chunks of ancient blue ice. The hiking in Aoraki Mount Cook National Park ranges from easy valley walks to serious mountaineering expeditions that have challenged some of the world's best climbers. Sir Edmund Hillary, the first person confirmed to reach the summit of Mount Everest, honed his climbing skills on these peaks before his Himalayan expeditions. The Hooker Valley Track, one of the most popular walks, takes you through a landscape of glacial streams, alpine meadows, and swing bridges, ending at Hooker Lake with its floating icebergs and stunning views of Aoraki's massive south face. The night sky here is extraordinary, part of the Aoraki Mackenzie International Dark Sky Reserve, the largest dark sky reserve in the world, where the Milky Way appears so vivid and three-dimensional it feels like you could reach up and touch it, and where the Southern Cross and Magellanic Clouds blaze with an intensity that urban dwellers can scarcely imagine. The Mount Cook Village area offers various accommodation options and serves as the base for both casual visitors and serious alpinists. And the Sir Edmund Hillary Alpine Centre tells the story of New Zealand's mountaineering heritage through excellent exhibits and a planetarium. The weather in this alpine environment can change with frightening speed, and the mountains are known for creating their own weather systems, with storms rolling in from the Tasman Sea and dumping enormous amounts of snow even in summer months. Queenstown and the surrounding Wakatipu Basin represent adventure tourism at its absolute finest, though the natural beauty here would be compelling even without the adrenaline activities. Situated on the shores of Lake Wakatipu, a glacial lake so deep and pure that it almost glows with an ethereal blue light, Queenstown is surrounded by dramatic mountain ranges including the Remarkables, whose jagged peaks earned their descriptive name from pioneering settlers who found them. Well, remarkable. Lake Wakatipu itself is fascinating from a geological perspective, as it experiences a unique phenomenon called a seiche, where the water level rises and falls by about 5 inches every 25 minutes, a rhythm so regular that Maori legend explains it as the heartbeat of a giant who lies sleeping at the bottom of the lake. The lake stretches for 50 miles in a distinctive lightning bolt shape, and taking a cruise on the vintage steamship TSS Ernslaw, which has been plying these waters since 1912, offers perspectives on the surrounding mountains that simply can't be matched from shore. Queenstown earned its reputation as the adventure capital of the world honestly, as this is where commercial bungee jumping was invented, where jet boating was perfected, and where new extreme activities seem to be invented regularly. The Shotover River, with its dramatic canyons and turquoise waters, is the site of some of the world's most thrilling jet boat rides, where skilled drivers navigate through narrow rock walls at breakneck speeds. The Nevis Bungee, suspended over a canyon and requiring a cable car ride just to reach the jump platform, is one of the highest bungee jumps on Earth at 440 feet. But beyond the adrenaline activities, the region offers incredible beauty and diversity. The nearby Glenorchy area, at the northern end of Lake Wakatipu, served as a filming location for numerous Lord of the Rings and Hobbit scenes, and the drive there along the lake shore is consistently rated one of the most scenic drives in New Zealand. The remarkable ski area offers excellent winter sports with views across the lake to the mountains beyond, while in summer the same slopes are covered in wildflowers and offer fantastic hiking. Arrowtown, just a short drive from Queenstown, is a beautifully preserved gold rush town where the autumn colors along the Arrow River create scenes so picturesque they seem almost artificial. The crown jewel near Queenstown might be Milford Sound, reached via the spectacular Milford Road that crosses mountain passes, threads through Homer Tunnel, and descends through Rainforest to reach the coast. The day trip from Queenstown to Milford Sound is long but absolutely worth every minute, and for those who want to experience Milford without the crowds, spending a night on an overnight cruise reveals the fjord in its most magical state, when the tour boats have departed and the sounds of the wilderness take over. Rotorua on the North Island is where you experience New Zealand's geothermal heart in its most dramatic and accessible form, a place where the Earth's crust is thin and the planet's inner heat comes bubbling, steaming, and occasionally exploding to the surface. The smell of hydrogen sulfide, which gives Rotorua its distinctive sulfur scent that locals affectionately call the smell of money, thanks to the tourism it attracts, permeates the air throughout the town, and visitors either love it or learn to tolerate it in exchange for the incredible sights. The entire Rotorua region sits within the Tekapo volcanic zone, part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the Pacific Plate is being subducted beneath the Australian Plate, creating the volcanic and geothermal activity that defines the area. At Waitomo Thermal Wonderland, you walk through a landscape painted in colors that seem too vivid to be natural, with pools of bubbling mud, hot springs tinted every shade from pale green to deep orange thanks to different mineral concentrations, and the famous Champagne Pool, a massive hot spring over 200 feet across and bubbling with carbon dioxide gas. The Lady Knox geyser here erupts with remarkable punctuality every morning at 10:15. Though this regularity is artificially induced by park rangers adding soap to lower the water's surface tension and trigger the eruption, sending boiling water shooting up to 65 feet in the air. At Tepuya, you experience geothermal activity combined with Maori culture, as the Pohutu geyser, the largest active geyser in the southern hemisphere, erupts multiple times per day, reaching heights of up to 100 feet, while cultural performances showcase traditional haka, poi dances, and waiata songs. The New Zealand Maori Arts and Crafts Institute at Tepuya preserves traditional carving and weaving techniques, and watching master carvers work on enormous wooden sculptures using both traditional and modern tools reveals the incredible skill involved in creating the intricate patterns that tell stories and genealogies. The mud pools at various thermal areas throughout Rotorua are mesmerizing, with thick gray mud bubbling and plopping like some primordial soup, and the various hot springs have been used for centuries by Maori for cooking, heating, and healing purposes. Rotorua's natural hot pools offer the perfect way to relax after a day of exploration, with numerous options ranging from public pools to luxury spa resorts where you can soak in naturally heated mineral water while surrounded by native forest. The Redwoods Forest, Wakatipu, offers a completely different experience, with towering California redwoods that were planted over a century ago as a forestry experiment now forming a magnificent forest crisscrossed with mountain bike trails and walking tracks, including an elevated tree walk that takes you through the forest canopy. Lake Rotorua itself, along with the nearby chain of lakes including Lake Rotorua and Lake Tarawera, offers fishing, water sports, and stunning scenery, and the lakes were formed by volcanic eruptions that also created the geothermal features that make this region so unique. Abel Tasman National Park on the South Island's northern coast is the smallest of New Zealand's national parks, but also one of its most beloved, offering a combination of golden sand beaches, crystal clear turquoise water, lush coastal forest, and granite headlands that create one of the most beautiful coastal environments anywhere in the world. The park was established in 1942 and named after Abel Tasman, the Dutch explorer who in 1642 became the first European to sight New Zealand, though his initial encounter with Maori was hostile, and he sailed away without ever setting foot on shore. Today the park protects over 58,000 acres of pristine coastline, and the coastal waters extending out nearly 2 miles offshore as a marine reserve teeming with life. The Abel Tasman Coast Track is one of New Zealand's great walks, a 37-mile trail that can be walked over 3 to 5 days, though many visitors choose to experience sections of the track as day hikes accessed by water taxi, allowing you to walk one direction along the coast and boat back. The track winds through coastal beach and podocarp forest, crosses swing bridges over tidal estuaries, and emerges regularly onto stunning beaches where the sand is so fine and golden it squeaks beneath your feet. The tidal variations here are significant, over 12 feet in some places, and sections of the track that require fording at high tide become easy beach walks at low tide, so timing your journey with the tides adds an extra element of planning and adventure. Kayaking in Abel, Tasman is magical, paddling along the granite coastline, ducking into sea caves, and landing on deserted beaches for picnic lunches, with the clear water allowing you to see straight down to the seabed and the marine life swimming below. Seals are common throughout the park, lounging on rocks or swimming in the ocean, and they're often curious about kayakers, sometimes swimming right up to the boats for a closer look. The Split Apple Rock, a huge granite boulder that looks exactly like an apple sliced in half, sits just offshore and has become an iconic image of the region. And while scientists attribute its split to natural weathering processes, Maori legend tells of two gods who fought over the rock and split it with their powerful blows. The park's climate is one of the sunniest in New Zealand, making it a perfect year-round destination, though summer naturally draws the largest crowds. The offshore islands, including Tonga Island, are important seabird nesting sites, and seeing shags, gulls, and terns nesting on the rocky outcrops adds to the sense of pristine wilderness. The Waitomo Caves on the North Island offer one of New Zealand's most unique and magical experiences, a chance to drift in silent darkness through underground caverns illuminated by thousands of glowworms creating a living starscape above your head. The Waitomo region contains over 300 limestone caves formed over 30 million years as water dissolved the soft limestone rock, creating vast chambers, narrow passages, and underground rivers. The name Waitomo comes from the Maori words wai meaning water and tomo meaning hole or shaft, perfectly describing these water-carved caves. The most famous is the Waitomo Glowworm Cave, where you board a small boat and float silently through the Glowworm Grotto, a chamber where the ceiling is covered with the larvae of Arachnocampa luminosa, a species of fungus gnat found only in New Zealand. These remarkable creatures produce a bioluminescent light to attract prey, which becomes trapped in sticky threads hanging down from their position on the cave ceiling, and the combined effect of thousands of these tiny lights creates an ethereal blue-green glow that resembles a starry night sky. The silence in the grotto is absolute, as any sound or vibration causes the glowworms to dim their lights, and drifting through this underground galaxy is an experience that stays with you forever. The nearby Ruakuri Cave, meaning den of dogs named after the wild dogs that once lived at its entrance, offers a completely different experience with an incredible spiral entrance that descends into the earth, massive underground waterfalls, and dramatic limestone formations including stalactites, stalagmites, and flow stone curtains that look like frozen waterfalls. For the adventurous, black water rafting takes the Waitomo experience to another level, where you don wetsuits, grab an inner tube, and float or swim through underground rivers in complete darkness except for your headlamp, occasionally tumbling over small waterfalls and always surrounded by glowworms. The Lost World adventure involves abseiling 100 meters straight down into a massive cavern, then exploring underground passages for hours before climbing back out, an experience not for the faint of heart, but absolutely thrilling for those ready for extreme adventure. The Aoraki Cave, though smaller and containing no glowworms, features some of the most beautiful cave decorations in New Zealand, with delicate pink and white formations that look like coral or flowers frozen in stone. The Bay of Islands in Northland represents New Zealand at its most subtropical and historically significant, a stunning maritime landscape of over 140 islands scattered across turquoise waters where dolphins, whales, and penguins share the ocean with yachts and fishing boats. This region holds immense importance in New Zealand's history, as it was here at Waitangi that the Treaty of Waitangi was signed in 1840 between Maori chiefs and the British Crown, a document that remains foundational and controversial in New Zealand's national identity. The Waitangi Treaty grounds are beautifully maintained and offer profound insights into New Zealand's bicultural heritage, with the Treaty House, a carved meeting house, and the impressive Wakatoa, a massive Maori war canoe over 100 feet long that required the hollowing of 3 giant kauri trees and can carry over 70 paddlers. The Bay of Islands itself is a paradise for water activities, with some of the best game fishing in the world, incredible diving and snorkeling on reefs and shipwrecks, and countless sheltered anchorages that make it a yachting mecca. Paihia serves as the main tourist hub, a charming waterfront town from which ferries and tour boats depart to explore the bay. The Hole in the Rock, a massive natural archway on Marukakako Island that boats can pass through when sea conditions permit, is one of the bay's most iconic sites, and the journey to reach it often includes dolphin encounters, as the bay is home to bottlenose dolphins and several other cetacean species. Russell, across the bay from Paihia, was New Zealand's first capital, and once held the dubious distinction of being called the Hell Hole of the Pacific, due to the rowdy behavior of whalers and sailors who frequented its taverns. But today it's a peaceful historic town, with beautiful colonial buildings and excellent restaurants. The nearby 90-mile beach, which is actually only about 55 miles long despite its name, is a vast expanse of sand on the west coast where you can drive vehicles directly on the beach at low tide. And at the northern tip sits Cape Reinga, the northernmost accessible point of New Zealand, where the Tasman Sea meets the Pacific Ocean in a collision of currents that creates visible swirls and eddies. Cape Reinga holds deep spiritual significance for Maori, who believe it is from here that the spirits of the dead depart on their journey to the afterlife, returning to their ancestral homeland of Aoraki. The region is also home to ancient kauri forests, though most of the giant kauri trees were logged in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Tain Mahuta in the Waipa Forest is the largest known living kauri tree, estimated to be over 2,000 years old with a girth of over 45 feet, and standing before this giant connects you to New Zealand's ancient past in a visceral way. Fox Glacier and Franz Josef Glacier on the west coast of the South Island provide the rare opportunity to experience glacial environments in a temperate rainforest setting, a combination found in very few places on Earth. These massive rivers of ice descend from the southern Alps down to just 300 meters above sea level, lower than any other glaciers at similar latitudes, and they flow through lush rainforest where ferns, moss, and native trees create a stark and beautiful contrast with the blue ice. Both glaciers are named after European explorers and politicians, with Franz Josef named by German geologist Julius von Haast after the Austrian emperor, and Fox Glacier named after Prime Minister William Fox, though their Maori names, Ka Rimata o Heinhukater for Franz Josef, meaning the tears of Heinhukater, a girl who loved climbing in the mountains, carry deeper poetic resonance. The glaciers have been retreating rapidly in recent decades due to climate change, though they also go through cycles of advance and retreat driven by accumulation in the higher elevations. Walking to the terminal faces of the glaciers is free and accessible to anyone with reasonable fitness, following trails that wind through the glacial valleys past giant boulders deposited by the glacier's advance, across rocky riverbeds fed by glacial meltwater that runs cloudy gray with suspended rock flour, and finally to viewpoints where you can see the towering ice faces and hear the creaks, groans, and occasional thunderous crashes as ice calves from the glacier face. For a more immersive experience, guided ice walks and heli hikes take you onto the glacier itself, where experienced guides lead you through a frozen wonderland of ice caves, crevasses, and seracs, the towering pinnacles of ice that form where the glacier cracks and breaks as it flows downhill. The blue ice of the glacier is extraordinary, with a color so pure and intense it seems almost artificial, caused by the ice being so compressed that it absorbs all colors of light except blue. The helicopter flights over the glaciers and the surrounding southern Alps are breathtaking, revealing the massive accumulation zones high in the mountains where the snow that feeds the glaciers falls, and showing the intricate patterns of crevasses and ice falls that are invisible from the ground. Lake Matheson near Fox Glacier is famous for its mirror-like reflections of Aoraki Mount Cook and Mount Tasman, particularly at dawn when the water is completely still, and the reflection is so perfect it's difficult to tell which is real and which is reflected. The West Coast region is incredibly wet, receiving over 6 meters of rain per year in some areas, and this rain feeds the lush rainforests and maintains the glaciers, though it also means you should come prepared for rain regardless of the season. Lake Tekapo in the Mackenzie Basin of the South Island is a place of almost surreal beauty, where the water glows with an otherworldly turquoise blue caused by glacial flour, finely ground rock particles suspended in the water from upstream glaciers. The lake stretches for over 17 miles and is surrounded by tussock-covered hills and snow-capped mountains, creating views that are spectacular in any season, but particularly in spring, when lupins bloom along the shoreline in explosions of purple, pink, and white. The Church of the Good Shepherd, a small stone chapel built in 1935 on the shore of Lake Tekapo, is one of the most photographed churches in the world. Its simple architecture perfectly framed by the lake and mountains, and through its altar window you see not stained glass but the natural beauty of God's creation spread before you. Beside the church stands a bronze statue of a collie dog, a memorial to the working dogs of the high country whose efforts helped build New Zealand's pastoral economy. Lake Tekapo sits within the Aoraki-Mackenzie International Dark Sky Reserve, and the night skis here are among the darkest and most spectacular in the world, with minimal light pollution and clear, stable atmosphere making it one of the premier stargazing destinations globally. The Mount John Observatory on a hill overlooking the lake is a working astronomical research facility that also offers public tour, and viewing the southern sky through powerful telescopes reveals celestial wonders that most people never see, from the rings of Saturn to distant galaxies millions of light-years away. The Cowan's Observatory offers a more intimate stargazing experience with knowledgeable guides who explain the southern constellations, Maori star lore, and the science of the cosmos while you recline in comfortable chairs and gaze upward at the Milky Way stretching across the sky like a river of light. The turquoise color of Lake Tekapo is most vivid during the summer months when glacial melt is at its peak, though the lake is beautiful year-round. The nearby Lake Pukaki offers similar stunning colors and serves as the foreground for views of Aoraki Mount Cook, creating some of the most iconic landscape photographs in New Zealand. The region is also famous for its salmon farms, and you can visit salmon shops along the highway to purchase fresh salmon or salmon sashimi, enjoying it as a picnic beside the lake. The Coromandel Peninsula on the North Island is a favorite escape for Auckland residents and international visitors alike, offering beautiful beaches, lush forests, and a laid-back atmosphere that feels a world away from city life despite being just a few hours' drive from Auckland. The peninsula's geography is dominated by the Coromandel Range, a forested mountain spine that runs the length of the peninsula and creates a dramatic backdrop to the coastal settlements. Cathedral Cove on the eastern coast is arguably the peninsula's most iconic site, a stunning natural archway carved through white limestone cliffs that frames a perfect view of the beach and ocean beyond, accessible via a scenic walking track through coastal forest or by kayak or boat from nearby Hahe. The cave's name comes from its soaring arched ceiling that resembles a cathedral's dome, and the protected cove beyond features pristine sand and clear water perfect for swimming and snorkeling. Hot Water Beach, just south of Cathedral Cove, offers a unique natural phenomenon where hot water from geothermal springs percolates up through the sand, and for a few hours either side of low tide, visitors can dig their own hot pools in the sand, creating natural spas where cold ocean water mixes with the hot spring water to create the perfect temperature. The sight of hundreds of people digging pools in the sand and lounging in their personal hot tubs is both unusual and delightful. The town of Wishunga serves as the main center on the eastern coast, offering excellent fishing, diving, and access to the nearby Mercury Bay, where Captain Cook observed the transit of Mercury in 1769, giving the bay its name. The Coromandel town on the western coast has a different character entirely, a former gold mining town that now attracts artists, craftspeople, and those seeking alternative lifestyles, with galleries, cafes, and craft shops lining the main street. The Coromandel's forests are home to some impressive kauri trees that survived the logging era, and the kauri grove near Coromandel town features a beautiful walking track through these giant trees. The peninsula's numerous beaches range from popular spots with full facilities to remote coves accessible only by boat or long walks, and the fishing is excellent throughout the region. New Chum's Beach, often rated one of the world's best beaches, remains relatively unspoiled due to its location at the end of a 30-minute walk through private farmland, and its isolation means it never gets crowded even in peak summer. Mount Maunganui and the wider Tauranga region in the Bay of Plenty offer a perfect combination of beautiful beaches, excellent surf, and outdoor activities centered around the distinctive volcanic cone that gives Mount Maunganui its name and character. The mount, as locals affectionately call it, rises over 700 feet directly from the peninsula, and the walking track to the summit is one of New Zealand's most popular short hikes, taking about 45 minutes to climb and rewarding you with panoramic views over the Pacific Ocean, Tauranga Harbor, and the coastal plain stretching south. The base track around the mount is equally popular for walking or jogging, taking about 45 minutes to complete and offering constantly changing views of either the harbor or the ocean depending which side you're on. The main beach at Mount Maunganui stretches for miles and is patrolled by lifeguards throughout summer, offering safe swimming, excellent surfing, and beautiful golden sand. The surf breaks here are consistent and suitable for all skill levels, from beginners taking their first lessons in the shore break to experienced surfers riding the longer waves further out. Mount Maunganui has evolved from a sleepy beach town into a vibrant resort community while maintaining its relaxed coastal atmosphere, with cafes, restaurants, and boutiques lining Maunganui Road. The natural hot salt water pools at the base of the mount provide a relaxing spot to soak after a day at the beach or a climb up the mount, with several pools at different temperatures fed by natural hot springs. Tauranga Harbor is one of New Zealand's busiest ports, but also offers excellent recreational opportunities, with sheltered waters perfect for sailing, kayaking, and stand-up paddleboarding. McLaren Falls Park just outside Tauranga features beautiful lakeside setting, walking trails, and is also part of the Dark Sky Reserve, offering excellent stargazing. The surrounding Bay of Plenty region is New Zealand's main kiwifruit growing area, and driving through the countryside you'll see orchard after orchard of the vines, particularly beautiful when they're flowering in spring. Nearby Waimarino Adventure Park offers the longest zipline in New Zealand, and various other adventure activities set in native forest. Wanaka on the South Island offers a more peaceful alternative to Queenstown while still providing spectacular alpine scenery and outdoor activities. Lake Wanaka is New Zealand's fourth largest lake, stretching over 27 miles and surrounded by mountains including the dramatic peaks of Mount Aspiring National Park. The town of Wanaka sits on a sheltered bay and has grown from a farming service town into a resort destination, while maintaining a more relaxed, less commercial feel than its famous neighbor to the south. That Wanaka tree, a willow growing in the lake near the shore, has become one of the most photographed trees in New Zealand, particularly at sunrise when the still water creates perfect reflections of both the tree and the mountains behind. Roy's Peak Track is one of the most spectacular and challenging day hikes in the region, climbing over 4,000 feet in about 6 miles to a summit with views that are genuinely hard to believe, with Lake Wanaka spread below and mountains extending to every horizon. The track is steep and exposed, taking 5 to 6 hours return, but the views from the top, particularly the famous Roy's Peak Lookout where countless Instagram photos have been taken, make every step worthwhile. Mount Aspiring National Park, accessible from Wanaka, protects over 870,000 acres of wilderness, including Mount Aspiring itself, often called New Zealand's Matterhorn due to its pyramidal shape and the technical climbing required to reach its summit. The park features numerous hiking tracks ranging from easy valley walks to multi-day wilderness treks, with the Rob Roy Glacier Track offering spectacular views of a hanging glacier without requiring mountaineering skills. The Blue Pools Track takes you through beech forest to an incredibly clear river where the water is so transparent and blue you can see every stone on the bottom despite the depth. Wanaka is also home to Puzzling World, a quirky attraction featuring optical illusions, a famous leaning tower, and a challenging three-dimensional maze that has frustrated and delighted visitors for decades. The nearby Cardrona Valley, the route between Wanaka and Queenstown, features the famous Cardrona Hotel, a historic pub that looks like something from the Wild West. And in winter, the Cardrona Alpine Resort offers excellent skiing and snowboarding with terrain suitable for all abilities. The climate in Wanaka features 4 distinct seasons, with hot, dry summers perfect for water sports on the lake, autumn colors that rival anywhere in the world, snowy winters that transform the landscape into a winter wonderland, and spring blossoms that herald the return of warmth. The Catlins region in the southeastern corner of the South Island is one of New Zealand's most underrated and beautiful coastal areas, a remote stretch where the Southern Ocean pounds rugged coastline, native forests reach down to the sea, and wildlife encounters are practically guaranteed. This is a region few international visitors make it to, partly because it's genuinely remote, far from major cities and requiring significant driving on winding roads. But those who do make the journey are rewarded with experiences that feel like discovering New Zealand's secret heart. Nugget Point features a historic lighthouse perched on a rocky promontory with numerous rock stacks, the Nuggets, scattered offshore, and the area is home to fur seals, sea lions, yellow-eyed penguins, and various seabirds including royal spoonbills and gannets. The walk to the lighthouse is relatively easy, but offers spectacular views of the wild coastline and excellent opportunities to spot wildlife both in the water and on the rocks. The Catlins Forest Park protects remnants of the podocarp forests that once covered much of New Zealand, with towering rimu, kaikatea, and totara trees creating cathedral-like spaces, and numerous waterfalls including the 3-tiered McLean Falls and the powerful Purakonui Falls. Curio Bay features a remarkable fossilized forest, where petrified tree stumps from a Jurassic forest 180 million years old are exposed on the wave-cut platform at low tide, allowing you to walk among trees that were already ancient when dinosaurs roamed the earth. The bay is also a favorite haunt of rare Hector's dolphins, the world's smallest dolphin species found only in New Zealand waters, and you can often see them surfing in the waves close to shore. Nearby Porpoise Bay offers safe swimming and is another excellent spot to see Hector's dolphins. Cathedral Caves, accessible only at low tide, feature enormous sea caves with ceilings reaching over 100 feet high, creating spaces so grand they feel like natural cathedrals carved by the ocean. Slope Point marks the southernmost point of New Zealand's South Island, where a sign indicates the distance to the South Pole and the equator, and the wind-bent trees testify to the constant gales that blast this exposed coastline. The Catlins region requires time to explore properly, as the attractions are spread out and many require walking to reach. But this remoteness is part of its charm, and the lack of crowds means you often have entire beaches, forests, and viewpoints to yourself. As our journey through New Zealand comes to a close, I hope you felt even a fraction of the wonder that this incredible country inspires in all who visit. We've explored dramatic fjords where waterfalls plummet from heights that make your head spin, volcanic landscapes that transported us to other worlds, glaciers flowing through rainforests, geothermal wonderlands where the Earth's power bubbles to the surface, pristine beaches where golden sand meets turquoise waters, and mountain ranges that challenge the sky itself. New Zealand truly offers something for every type of traveler. Whether you're seeking adrenaline-pumping adventure, peaceful communion with nature, rich cultural experiences, or simply some of the most beautiful landscapes our planet has to offer. From the subtropical north to the subantarctic south, from the wild west coast to the more sheltered east, this country packs an incredible diversity of experiences into a relatively compact area. If you loved the dramatic landscapes of Milford Sound, the volcanic power of Tongariro, the alpine majesty of Aoraki Mount Cook, or the countless other wonders we've discovered today, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more incredible travel documentaries. And if New Zealand's combination of mountains, glaciers, and pristine wilderness captured your imagination, you're going to love our next video on the wonders of Japan, where we'll explore the sacred peak of Mount Fuji rising perfectly above the landscape, the ancient temples of Kyoto with their stunning gardens and traditional architecture, the neon-lit energy of Tokyo where ancient traditions meet cutting-edge technology, the peaceful bamboo forests of Arashiyama, and the historic castle towns that transport you back to the age of samurai. Japan offers a completely different but equally compelling journey, where natural beauty combines with thousands of years of refined culture and aesthetic traditions. Click the link in the description or the card on your screen to continue your journey with us through Japan. Have you been to New Zealand? Which of these incredible destinations is at the top of your bucket list? Do you prefer the dramatic fjords of the south or the geothermal wonders of the north? Maybe you've stood at Milford Sound or climbed Mount Tongariro. We'd love to hear your New Zealand stories and experiences in the comments below, so share your adventures with our community of fellow travelers. Until next time, keep wandering, stay curious, and may your travels be filled with wonder, discovery, and moments that take your breath away. Kia ora, and we'll see you in Japan.